People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist.
One of The View's most divisive voices, Sunny Hostin, was recently embroiled in a scandal so full of irony that it could have easily been written for a satirical program that included her scathing opinions on identity politics and racial reparations. Sunny has devoted years to analyzing the ways in which racial inequity has been shaped by history. When Sunny appeared on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show where celebrities explore their ancestry, viewers were expecting yet another moment where her personal history would align with her public persona, because she is not only outspoken but also loudly confident and, let's be honest, pretty self-assured in her moral superiority. After all, for someone who is so vocal about racial justice, you'd think she would be well-versed in the details of her own lineage, but what Sunny learned on the show left both her and the internet in shock.
Sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from Europe.
However, before we get started on this juicy drama, please make sure to like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the most recent rumors about Hollywood. Sunny Hostin, who has spent years advocating for reparations and condemning the legacy of slavery, was ready to uncover the mysteries of her past when she sat across from historian and genealogist Henry Louis Gates Jr. What she wasn't expecting was the shocking revelation that her ancestors weren't just oppressed minorities or struggling immigrants, but slave owners. Her reaction was a mixture of shock and awkwardness, and she stammered that she had always considered herself Puerto Rican.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
I didn't think my family was originally from Spain or slaveholders, she confessed, almost as if she couldn't believe what she was saying. For a brief moment, there was a silence that made you wonder if your TV was still on Sunny. The professional tried to salvage the moment by muttering something about how this would be interesting for her kids to know. But let's face it, the damage was done. Naturally, the revelation wasn't limited to PBS. Greg Gutfeld, Fox News resident provocateur, entered the scene. Greg won the championship, and he opened his segment with a zinger that set the tone. Sunny Host's ancestors were slave owners. It's like learning that a vegan secretly owns a barbecue joint. The audience erupted with laughter as Greg dug deeper into the layers of hypocrisy.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
Sunny has created a living by exploiting race as a weapon, frequently to embarrass people or settle disputes. Greg noted that Sunny's typical strategy of moral superiority had backfired, and that the next time she uses the race card on The View, someone would remind her that at least we are not racist slave owners. Greg made a joke, but he wasn't just there to make people laugh. He also brought attention to Sunny's total lack of responsibility. When confronted with the startling reality about her background, Sunny didn't apologize. Instead, she dismissed it as a normal part of life. Within minutes of the revelation showing, social media went crazy. Twitter reactions filled TikTok and Instagram. One user tweeted that Sunny Hostin's discovery that her family owned slaves was the year's biggest plot revelation. Naturally, memes flooded in, with one of the most well-liked ones being a facsimile of Sunny with the words reparations. Let me quickly write that check to myself. Even some of Sunny's supporters found it difficult to support her. Some contended that she shouldn't be held responsible for the deeds of her ancestors, but others weren't so ready to let her off the hook. One commentator stated that it's not about holding her responsible for the deeds of her ancestors. Shaming others while ignoring the skeletons in your own closet is hypocritical. Greg didn't stop at Sunny. He used the occasion to criticize identity politics as a whole, which he claims frequently oversimplifies difficult subjects.
Quote, a lens of empathy. Debate highlights ableism in politics. Pat Fetterman can do for disability what Obama did for race.
Say what?
See, because when all else fails, use identity politics. But MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell went a step further.
He claimed that when you concentrate too much on race, you lose sight of the person, the context, and the subtleties, and eventually it backfires, just as it did for Sunny. Greg also underlined the importance of personal accountability, saying that what you do now for years to come matters more than who your ancestors were. This whole situation raises important questions about how we handle historical accountability. Should people like Sunny who condemn others for the actions of their ancestors be held to the same standard, or is it enough to acknowledge the past without letting it affect us? Sunny has been lecturing everyone else. Perhaps it's time she took a long, hard look in the mirror. Describe yourself.
These elites are so isolated, they've forgotten that most Americans don't get paid to sit in a comfy chair pontificating about everything all day. Nope, some of us are cameramen whose names I don't know. But maybe one day when we finally strip away this phony race war, we'll finally expose this elite mentality. And we'll find out Sunny is just like Marie Antoinette, except she says, let me eat cake.
It's funny how enmeshed Sunny is in identity politics. It turns out that she didn't even know who she was, while the internet had a great time making fun of her. One co-host on Greg's panel commented, if Sunny has been shaming descendants of slave owners, does she now have to shame herself? Some noted that this might have been a pivotal moment in her life. Rather than dismissing the revelation as merely another reality, she could have utilized it to initiate a more in-depth discussion about the intricacies of history and identity. I've discovered something unexpected about my family that she could have mentioned, and it's forcing me to reconsider how I handle these discussions. Instead, we received a shrug and a swift departure, even from Sunny's fellow View co-hosts. Unsure of how to react to the news, Goldberg, who is famed for her witty remarks, may have had to stop herself from asking, Sunday, would you like to ask your slaveholding ancestors for a refill, or do you want me to get you coffee?
I make fun of the View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
Ultimately, Sunny's revelation serves as a warning about the perils of self-righteousness and the value of humility. Not only about her, none of us are immune to its shadow, which is why it's so important to address these subjects with grace and self-awareness, as they are messy, complex, and frequently uncomfortable. As Greg Gutfeld so eloquently put it, if you spend your life searching for racism everywhere, it will ultimately find you. For Sunny Hostin, it was right there in her family tree. What will happen next? Will she confront the irony head-on or carry on as usual? Time will tell, but one thing is certain, the story will be discussed for years to come. Perhaps the next time Sunny gives a history lesson to America, she will reconsider before hurling stones from her glass ancestral home. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.